I never thought I'd be the guy who built a goddess just to watch her fall, but here I am sitting in my half-empty apartment, scrolling through the wreckage of what used to be her perfect online life. The comments are brutal. What happened to your face? Did you lose your filter subscription? Guess the gravy train crashed. Each one is a nail in a coffin I helped build. And honestly, I don't know whether to feel guilty or vindicated. 7 years. That's how long I spent turning Melissa from a pretty girl at a coffee shop into Melis, the lifestyle influencer with 2 million followers, and brand deals that paid more for a single post than I made in a month at my actual job. 7 years of my life, my savings, my connections, all poured into creating someone who eventually couldn't even remember my birthday. But I'm getting ahead of myself. You want to know how we got here, don't you? How the man who once scheduled her Botox appointments now refuses to answer her calls? Well, grab something strong to drink. This isn't a pretty story. I met Melissa at Groundwork Coffee in Venice Beach. I was there editing photos for a small marketing agency, nothing glamorous, just product shots for local businesses. She was working behind the counter, and I noticed her immediately. Not because she was the most beautiful woman I'd ever seen, though she was gorgeous, but because of how she moved. Like she was always aware a camera might be pointed at her. "You've got a great look," I told her when she brought my Americano. Professional habit. I was always scouting for models for our shoots. "Ever done any modeling?" She laughed, but I could see the interest spark in her eyes. "Only in my bathroom mirror." "I'm serious. I work for Coastline Creative. We're always looking for fresh faces for local campaigns." 2 days later, she was in our studio. 3 weeks after that, she was the face of a small jewelry line that paid her $500. The photos were good, really good. Melissa had this quality that's hard to describe. The camera didn't just love her, it seemed desperate for her attention. "We should create you an Instagram portfolio," I suggested after the shoot. "You've got something special." That night, over cheap wine in my apartment, I set up at Melissa Monroe. Simple, clean aesthetic. I showed her basic editing techniques, how to find her angles, the best times to post. I didn't know I was creating a monster. I thought I was helping someone I was falling for. And I was falling. Hard. She had this laugh that made you feel like you'd won something. She'd curl up next to me while I edited her photos, asking questions, learning quickly. When we started dating officially a month later, it felt inevitable, like we were building something together. The first year was a dream. Her following grew steadily, nothing viral, just organic growth as I helped her refine her image. I taught her everything I knew about visual marketing, and she soaked it up like a sponge. We'd stay up late strategizing content calendars, researching trending hashtags. It was our thing. I loved watching her confidence grow. By year 2, she hit 100,000 followers. Small brands started reaching out. Free products arrived at our door. She'd moved in with me by then. The first time she made $1,000 from a single post, we celebrated with champagne on the rooftop of my apartment building. "I can't believe this is happening," she whispered, her eyes reflecting the downtown lights. "Thank you for believing in me." I kissed her and felt like the luckiest man alive. I didn't notice how she'd already started referring to her account as her business rather than our project. Year 3 is when everything shifted. A beauty brand offered her $10,000 for a 3-month partnership. She squealed, jumped into my arms. "I can quit the coffee shop." I supported her decision, of course. Even picked up extra freelance work to cover the rent when her income was irregular. I started managing her emails, negotiating with brands, setting up a proper LLC. I was her boyfriend, photographer, business manager, and biggest fan all rolled into one. "We need to level up," she told me one night, scrolling through competitor accounts. "Everyone has work done now. It's not even a secret." "Work done? Like plastic surgery?" She rolled her eyes. "Not surgery, just enhancements. Lip filler, maybe Botox, investment in the business." I hesitated. "You're beautiful already. You don't need—" "It's not about need, babe. It's about staying competitive." She showed me before and after pictures of influencers I'd assumed were natural. "This is just the cost of doing business." The first procedure cost $900. I put it on my credit card as an investment in our future. After all, Her income was growing. She'd made $43,000 that year from sponsorships, more than I made at my day job. And when the fillers settled, her engagement rate jumped 20%. Numbers don't lie, right? By year 4, everything had changed. She'd crossed 500,000 followers. Bigger brands came calling. Fashion Nova, Sugar Bear Hair, Flat Tummy Tea. The apartment filled with PR packages and ring lights. I upgraded my camera equipment, took a course on video production. We moved to a bigger place with better natural light and a dedicated content room. I didn't notice that her captions had stopped mentioning me, that her grid no longer featured couples photos, that when brands flew her to Tulum or Miami for influencer retreats, I wasn't invited. I was too busy managing her back end, too proud of what we'd built together. "We should get you a nose job," she said casually one evening, studying her profile in the bathroom mirror. "Nothing major, just refine the tip a little. Dr. Levine has an opening next month." That's $12,000, Mel." She didn't look away from her reflection. "And I made $18,000 last month. It's tax deductible." I didn't argue. I scheduled the appointment, took 2 weeks off work to care for her during recovery, applied her arnica cream, and changed her bandages. When the swelling subsided, her nose was perfect, exactly like the Photoshop version she'd been posting all along. Her mother called me around this time. We'd only met twice. Melissa always said her family didn't get her ambitions. Her mom was worried, said Melissa hadn't called in months, wasn't coming home for Christmas. "She's different on the phone," her mother said, "like she's performing even with me." I defended Melissa, said she was busy building her career. That change was natural. But later that night, watching her spend 3 hours filming a 60-second skincare ad, I had a momentary flash of doubt. The woman methodically hitting her marks and repeating the same lines with slightly different inflections. She didn't laugh like the barista I'd fallen for. Year 5, she hit 1 million followers. We celebrated at Nobu. She spent most of dinner on her phone, responding to comments. The sushi cost $600. I paid. "I think I need a manager," she said between bites of yellowtail sashimi. "Someone who really knows the industry. There's this agency that works with Addison Rae." "I've been managing you," I said, trying to keep my voice even. She reached for my hand. "And you've been amazing, babe. But this is big leagues now. I need someone with connections." The agency took 15%. They also suggested more procedures: a brow lift, cheek filler, veneers. I financed most of it, even though she was making 6 figures by then. "It's for us," she'd say, "for our future." I believed her even as she grew more distant, more critical. My photos were never quite right anymore. My captions needed professional rewrites. My taste in her outfits was too basic. Still, I stayed. Watched as her following grew to 1.5 million. Helped her launch a skincare line that was really just white-labeled products with her name slapped on the packaging. Stood in the background at meet and greets where girls half her age screamed like she was a Kardashian. Then came the magazine cover. Not Vogue or anything, but a decent digital publication focused on entrepreneurs. Melissa Monroe, self-made social media mogul, the headline read. The 5-page spread detailed her inspiring journey from small-town girl to influencer powerhouse. I wasn't mentioned once, not a single time. When I pointed this out, she seemed genuinely confused. "The article was about me, babe, my brand. But I helped build all this. I'm still helping build it." She sighed like I was being dramatic. "Of course you've helped. You've been very supportive. But this is my face, my content, my business." That night, going through our finances, I realized something that made my stomach drop. Despite her income now dwarfing mine, I was still covering most of our expenses. The rent, utilities, groceries, her Mercedes lease. Meanwhile, her money went to designer clothes, first-class flights to brand events, and the growing team of people she'd hired: a manager, a separate photographer for when I was at work, a content calendar consultant, a PR person. "We need to talk about shared expenses," I said the next morning. She was getting ready for a collab with another influencer, carefully applying makeup that made her look effortlessly flawless. "Can it wait? Jacqueline has 3 million followers. This is huge for me." "It's always huge for you," I muttered. but I let it drop. The real wake-up call came during year 6. I found a receipt for a consultation with a plastic surgeon I didn't recognize. $22,000 for something called a fox eye lift and full facial balancing. You weren't going to discuss this with me? I asked, holding up the paper. She barely glanced up from her phone, where she was reviewing engagement metrics. It's my face. It's our money, I shot back. She finally looked at me, eyebrows perfectly arched in surprise. My money paid for this. The business account. The business account I set up? The LLC I registered? The taxes I file? Oh my God, are you seriously keeping score? After everything I've done for us? The argument escalated. For the first time, I unloaded everything, how sidelined I felt, how she'd changed, how her version of our story had completely erased my contributions. You act like I owe you something, she said coldly, like I'm some project you deserve credit for. Maybe you're just jealous that I've outgrown you. It was like being slapped, because maybe there was some truth to it. Maybe I was jealous. Or maybe I was just tired of being the nameless boyfriend who held the ring light. I love you, I said finally. The real you, not whatever brand you've become. She softened just slightly. I love you too, but this is me now. This life we built. I can't go backward. We patched things up, sort of, but something had broken. I started noticing things I'd been ignoring. How she'd filter in Photoshop even the private photos she sent me. How she'd speak in caption-ready sound bites. How her reactions to everything, good news, bad news, gifts, seemed rehearsed for maximum content potential. The real bomb dropped 3 months later. I came home early from work with a migraine to find her in our bedroom with Jacqueline, the 3 million follower influencer. They weren't collaborating on content, at least not the kind she told me about. It's not what it looks like, she said after Jacqueline had grabbed her clothes and fled. It looks like you're sleeping with someone else in our bed. It's complicated. Jacqueline and I, there's chemistry there, but it's also strategic. She has beauty brand connections I need. I stared at her, this stranger with my girlfriend's face. Are you seriously explaining your cheating as a networking strategy? Don't be so conventional, she said, reaching for her robe. Relationships are fluid in this industry. And honestly, things haven't been great between us for a while. I moved into the guest room that night. The next week, I started digging into our finances in detail. What I found made me physically ill. While I'd been covering our living expenses, she'd been purchasing investment properties. 2 condos in Nashville, a vacation rental in Palm Springs, and she'd formed a new company, one that didn't have my name anywhere on the paperwork. 7 years of my life. 7 years of supporting her, believing in her, financing her transformation. And she'd been planning her exit strategy. The confrontation was ugly. She didn't even deny it. Did you really think this would last forever? She asked with a kind of pitying look. You were right for the beginning of my journey. I'll always be grateful, but I'm meant for bigger things, bigger people. Bigger people like Jacqueline? She shrugged. Among others. This isn't about her specifically. It's about growth. And what about the money? Our money? She laughed then, actually laughed. There's no our money, babe. I earned it. Check the contracts. She was right. In my devotion to supporting her dreams, I'd left myself completely vulnerable. Everything was in her name. The business, the properties, the revenue streams I'd helped create. So that's it? I asked. 7 years and you're just done with me? Don't be dramatic. You can still manage my website if you want. I'll pay you market rate. I moved out the next day, found a crappy studio apartment I could afford on just my salary. For weeks, I drifted through life in a fog, trying to understand how I'd been so blind. The messages started coming after about a month. Her first, then her managers, then her new photographers. The website's glitching. The content calendar isn't updating properly. The email automation is broken. I didn't respond. More messages followed. The brand portal login isn't working. We can't access the analytics dashboard. The sponsored content tracking system is down. Turns out, when you build someone's entire digital infrastructure and then leave without transition planning, Things fall apart quickly. I hadn't sabotaged anything I didn't need to. I just stopped maintaining the complex system I built for her over 7 years. 3 months after our breakup, her engagement rates had plummeted. Without proper analytics, she couldn't prove ROI to brands. Without the custom website I'd built, her product sales dried up. Without my editing skills, her content looked ordinary. "Please," she finally texted, "I need help. Everything's falling apart. I'll pay whatever you want." For a moment, just a moment, I considered it. Some pathetic part of me still missed her. Still loved the girl I'd met at that coffee shop, if she even existed anymore. Instead, I replied with just 2 words: "Good luck." Then I blocked her number. That was 6 months ago. I'd be lying if I said I haven't checked her account since then. I have. Watched as her perfect facade crumbled post by post. The desperate pivot to controversy to maintain relevance. The increasingly obvious filters failing to hide the botched procedures. The diminishing engagement. The brands quietly dropping her. Last week, her profile disappeared completely. Deactivated or deleted, I don't know. Her 2 million followers left with nowhere to go. Sometimes I wonder if I could have handled things differently, if I should feel guilty for walking away so completely. But then I remember her words. "Did you really think this would last forever? You were right for the beginning of my journey." Well, her journey continues without me now. Without my skills, my money, my devotion, without the lights I'd been holding to make her shine. She was a star, yes, until I turned off the lights. And here's the twist nobody saw coming, not even me. In the darkness that followed, I finally found myself again. I launched my own creative agency last month, specializing in authentic brand development. No filters, no artificial engagement, no facades. My first client? A small coffee shop in Venice Beach. Full circle in the most unexpected way. As for Melissa, I heard she moved back to her hometown. Someone said they saw her working at a department store makeup counter, using her hard-earned skills, I suppose. Do I miss her? Sometimes. Miss what we could have been if fame hadn't devoured her? Absolutely. But would I turn the lights back on if I could? Not a chance. Because some stars aren't meant to last. They burn too bright, consume everything around them, and then collapse under their own weight. And me? I'm done being fuel for someone else's fire. If you've dealt with someone who used you as a stepping stone, or watched someone you love transform into someone you don't recognize, drop your story in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe for more real-life dramas that'll make your own problems seem manageable by comparison. Remember, folks, not all that glitters is gold. Sometimes it's just a really expensive filter.